What's up, potatoes? And I think I have a problem. I think I'm addicted to For Honor because I've been playing this game a lot and I can't get enough of it. And since I'm putting so much time into this, why not make a guide, right? So I'm gonna be talking about the character that I've been playing since the closed beta, Berserker. Now, Zerker is a beast character, in my opinion, the hardest character to play in For Honor. I think Zerker has a very low skill floor, but a very high skill ceiling. If overwhelming your opponents and being the strongest finisher in the game is your thing, then Berserker is the character for you. Zerker also has a high potential to finesse your opponent, so get ready for some salt. I'll start by talking about Zerker's moveset and what makes him unique. The base combo is really easy to do. You're essentially just alternating between light and heavy attacks. There are some cool things you can do with this that we'll talk about later. He has two good gap closers, which are the dash forward, light, or heavy attack, and what makes him so slippery is his side dodge and light attack. Personally, I think his zone attack's not that good, so I never use it. Again, your bread and butter is going to be alternating between light and heavy attacks. This simple chain is what makes Zerker so unique and deadly to deal with. Again, this is a quick overview of his moveset before we get into the details. So, Peacekeeper, Nobushi, Orochi, and Valkyrie share this trait with Berserker. Deflect is insane because you get dodge, parry, and deflect to deal with attacks. And what's unique to Zerker is the guard breaks after his deflect. And you remember the infinite chain I was talking about, his bread and butter? Yeah, you can end that with a top heavy attack, which does a ton of damage. You can also start his light or heavy chain with a side dodge, and Zerker is also the king of animation canceling. If any of that sounds too complicated for you, don't worry, we're going to be getting into the details right now. Like I said, Zerker's infinite chain combo starts with either light attack or heavy attack, and you just alternate between the two. After 4 attacks, you become uninterruptible, meaning during the attack, they can't hit you and interrupt you. And if you're paying attention to the stamina, after 4 attacks, it also costs less stamina for each attack. So as long as Zerker has stamina, he can do this combo forever. Remember, you can end this combo anytime with a top heavy attack to deal massive damage. Another really cool feature that sets Zerker apart from other characters is his ability to dodge out of the start of his light attack. Sounds kind of complicated, but it's really not. Essentially, his light attack has a little bit of a wind-up that you can actually dodge out of before it actually lands. You can do a lot of cool things with this, like switch up the direction that you're attacking from, and always keeping your enemies on their toes. And remember, you can go into your infinite chain with your side light attack dodge. So after switching it up on them, you can just combo them. Let's start with an example. Here, I'm about to light attack this Peacekeeper from the right. The animation is still winding up, so I can still dodge out of it. Now your enemy is going to try to block this, so your best bet is to dodge left and do your spin chop. This is what you see me do here. I attack right and dodge left. Past certain levels, this kind of feinting is absolutely needed because your infinite combo can be blocked. Speaking of feinting, that is another powerful tool you can use. Now there's some obvious feints you can do to get around defenses, which is a right, left, or top heavy attack feint into a light or another heavy attack or whatever. But one of the best feints you can do with Berserker is you do a top heavy attack to end your finisher and you feint that. Obviously examples work best here, so I'll show you what I did against this Valk. Here you'll see me get through defenses and start my combo, and attempt to finish my combo with a top heavy attack, but I feint it and go for the light attack to interrupt Valk. Now I don't know if she was going to hit me first or I was going to hit her first, but this is definitely the safer option. These kind of feints and animation cancels are so important to play Zerker, so make sure you learn their timing. The next thing that makes Zerker really good is, again I mentioned this before, his deflect ability. The deflect into guard break is so strong. You can do so much with that guard break. You can attack light, you can attack heavy, you can push them back with another guard break if you need room, and it's what makes Berserker so dangerous. It helps you punish really predictable enemies and makes him so hard to hit. Once you know how the timing works for deflect and parry, it's actually quite simple on how to do it, and really it takes your game to the next level, so it's worth learning. So let's look at an example for the timing. Parrying and guard breaking are two very similar concepts, so we're just going to talk about them together. To actually pull this off, you're looking for visual cues. This is the first flash you're looking for. Now, a lot of Berserkers make this mistake, and I don't want you to make this mistake. When they see this first flash, they'll dodge or they'll try to parry. That's going to get you axed in the face. First flash just means your opponent has committed to this attack. Remember, they can still feint out of it, or depending on the character, dodge out of it. Second flash is going to be a white flash, and that's where you make your move. When you see this, you either dodge in the direction that it's coming from. So if it's coming from the left, you dodge left. If it's coming from the right, you dodge right. And if it's coming from top, you dodge towards the enemy, which is scary, I know. Or again, if you're trying to parry, you just heavy attack in that direction. Now the visual cue is nice because the timing for each character is different. And not just each character, each of their attacks has different timing on this as well. Honestly, to get your timing down, just make sure you can do this. Deflecting light attacks is definitely a lot trickier and you kind of have to plan ahead, but honestly a lot of that's going to come from practice and fighting other characters. Unfortunately, there is no easy way to get this down, you really just have to practice your timing. And while we're on this topic, for some reason, I see a lot of people always dodge away from unblockable attacks. They're unblockable, but you can still deflect and parry them, for sure. And there's no reason you should miss the parry or the deflect on these just because they're so slow and so telegraphed. Also, while we're here, bridge maps are your worst enemy. Narrow spaces to fight in are gonna get you killed, so always look for an open space. Always, always, always look for an open space. Another thing that I see a lot of new players do, especially with characters with the reflex trait, is they don't actually block, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The block is still super effective. It just kind of has to be like reapplied every now and then. Honestly, as Berserker, this is gonna save your life all the time. Being on top of your deflects and your parries is impossible 100% of the time. Here and there you're gonna miss a few, and honestly, if you're not having a good fight, just start blocking. The idea is basically the same. When you see the white flash, just block in that direction. Again, maybe it's just because you can't hold that direction or your timing is off or something, but I see a lot of new players making this mistake. It's a simple fix that'll stop you from getting rushed down by fast characters like Orochis and other Berserkers, and it'll help you survive against hard hitters like Lawmaker and that weeb fat bastard. No, seriously, I hate that guy. This clip right here is a perfect example of what I mean by a low skill floor and a high skill ceiling. This Peacekeeper has no idea what to do, and the difference between these two Peacekeepers is night and day. So yeah, you can rush new players down easily. Honestly, you can just spam between light and heavy attacks no problem. But against an opponent that knows what they're doing, that's not gonna work. So the most important thing I can suggest you do is figure out the timing on your animation cancels and your deflects. And get used to the idea that you have to finesse people to win as Berserker. I'm not gonna lie, it can be pretty frustrating to play Zerker, but when everything comes together, shit.
You crazy mother...